Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world. Welcome. It's your boy, Jerome Hurt, founder, CEO of Buy Black for Life, for a Saturday conversation, a pre Mother's Day Saturday conversation, because we won't have any conversation for Mother's Day. We're going to give the platform, the space, the day to the weekend to the mothers. I'm excited about today's conversation. um, I hope whether you're watching this live or you're watching this on replay that you will join in on the conversation, enjoy the conversation. Just a couple of things that I would like to share with those of you who are watching. Um, we are the Buy Black for Life family. We have an app that you certainly can download via Buy Black for Life, whether it be on Google Play or in Apple stores. We are growing. You could add your business. We want your business to be part of this app. I'm going to put it in the chat. So please download the Buy Black for Life app. But let's jump right in on this Saturday, early Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning, wherever you are. And I want to introduce you, Buy Black for Life community, to Debbie Rose. Debbie Rose is L&D Flower of Excellence, owned by a mother and daughter duo of Lynn and Debbie Rose, with over 30 years of experience, starting in New York, Florida, and now locally in Charlotte, North Carolina, my former city. Charlotte, stand up. They offer a variety of floral arrangements for weddings, funerals, corporate events, as well as creative gift ideas to suit any style or budget. In 2021, they were featured in a movie, Forbidden Love, and I didn't know that, so that's amazing, Debbie. As a business, L&D Flowers of Excellence understands the importance of giving back to their community. Their mission is to be more than just an everyday florist. Buy Black for Life family, I introduce you to Debbie Rose. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you, Jerome. And one of the greatest thing, the correct name is L&D Flowers of Elegance.
Elegance. What did I
And
say?
so I thank you for the excellence, because that's who we are.
I'm sorry. It's elegance.
We provide excellent services.
Yes. Yes. Well, welcome,
So
Debbie.
thank you.
So Debbie, share with us the story of the start of L&D Flowers of Elegance. How did you get started?
Well, it all starts with my great mom. One day she was at work and she called me and she said, "I'm going to start a florist business." I said, "Mom, talking to your plants is not the same as starting a florist business." And so, but she was determined. And when I look back at that now today, I realize that whenever you share with anyone that you want to start a business and they try to, discourage you, if God put it in your spirit to go ahead and start the business, you move forward, because he already have the plans. And there's a reason why he put in your spirit to start the business. Mm-hmm. And so after she decided she was going to start the business, regardless of what I said, and I'm glad she didn't listen. I'm really glad she didn't. Sometimes she listens to me, sometimes she doesn't. Right. And that's okay, right? That's mom.
Right? Yes.
Right, exactly. And so she also reached out to two of her friends to partner with her on, with the business. And they didn't get back to her, or, well, I don't think we could do this right now. And so I told her, I said, "Mom, I don't think you're supposed to partner with anyone with this business. I think it's just you." Right. Because she's also a seamstress. Oh, so wow. My mom had made wedding dresses and all. So it just seemed like logically the next step would be a florist.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so she and my dad own a house in Brooklyn on Ralph Avenue. Okay. And they had the downstairs rented out. So she gave notice to the tenants. And there's this one guy, just seemed like he was ignoring her. So I'm glad it's over 30-something years, so they can't lock her up now or find her in any form of way. So since he refused to move out, she went to the bathroom and dug up all the towels and the toilet. So he didn't have a bathroom
Oh, wow.
to
Wow.
use.
Okay.
So she was determined.
She was
I'm going to
determined.
start this flower business, right?
Yes. And I need you out of
So
my house.
yes, and so yes, that was the only way to get him out the house.
Hmm.
So what she did, and looking back, she was so smart in doing that. She decided to convert one of the rooms, it was like an 8 by 10 room, into the business. She didn't extend it all the way to the lower floor. She just converted one room and just to see how everything. It was more like, we have in Brooklyn, like a hole in the wall type of thing. You go and grab your order, like you go to the Chinese restaurant, grab your order, and you're
And
out. You
keep
don't have
moving.
anywhere to
Yes.
sit. Exactly.
Exactly. Hmm.
So she started with just one cooler, and she has a cash register and a counter at top, and that was it. That was this way it started, like an 8 by 10 room.
Wow.
And so in our first holiday was Valentine's, and so when she opened, there was a long line down the block. Now you remember back in the days when we had the cheese line. I'm guilty. I'm gonna raise my hand. I was on the
Right
cheese
here.
line, so you
On the
remember
cheese
the
line.
cheese
Yeah.
lines, right?
Yes. Yes, I do.
That's how long the line was.
Wow.
And so the neighborhood really came out and supported us. We're the only florist in the area anyway.
Okay.
So the community came out and they supported her and, us.
Hmm.
And so from that, she and my dad extended the entire lower floor to the business. So it opened all the way out. And so there
Okay.
was a lot more room. They were able to, purchase more coolers and so forth. But the interesting thing when I look back, it was located by the bus stop.
Hmm.
So when people get off the bus, automatically it's like they walk right into the flower shop. She had chairs all over the shop. So
Hmm.
I was like, okay, now I'm thinking back, why she got all these chairs?
Hmm.
I see why. Because people come in and they will share what's going on in their lives.
Right.
Even if they're not buying anything, but
Mm.
just to have someone to talk to. And
Right.
she would listen to them.
Mm.
You have the kids, they'll come in after school and they'll stop and they'll like, grandma, how you doing? And if they need, if there's, the floor need to be swept, they'll take a broom and start sweeping the floors.
Love it.
And
Community.
so she had the older, the younger, everyone in the community would come in, stop, have conversations. So she became the grandma of the community because they'll just come in and just talk. And then because that area, there's some low income
Hmm.
individuals, sometimes, your mom may have 4 kids,
Right.
they didn't get
Right.
any food. And so mom would feed them,
Mm.
and at the time she also had 3 foster kids, at the same time running this business. So it wasn't about, having foster kids for money. It was, to share her love with these kids. So they were with us for like 2 years,
Hmm.
and they start calling my mom, and my dad. And so all of that was incorporated in her starting this whole thing. And we, in New York, we got like 3 or 4 churches on the block.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
there was one
Yes.
that we connected with, and we used to feed the homeless. We, work with that church, feed the homeless. So all of this started, not realizing when I look at it today, that she set the foundation for the business.
Right.
It was about family, it's about community, it's about giving back.
Amen.
It wasn't all to just receive, but also to give back.
So L&D Flowers of Elegance is more than just a florist, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
and you and I having conversations about this, you
Mhm.
talked to, it dawned upon me, when you go into a florist, there are a couple of reasons you go, or a few reasons you go in there for.
Mhm.
You're going in there for somebody's past, and maybe you want to get
Mhm.
flowers, right?
Mhm.
Someone you love, you want to give them flowers, or
Mhm.
for plants, right?
Yes.
you want to plant, you want to do a garden, or just have plants in your house, right?
Mhm.
So that emotion, those emotions, people are coming in
Yes.
to the floral shop with that. How did your mom and your dad, as well as yourself, foster that when people would come in, because there are businesses, I'm sure, that would usher people out, but
Yeah.
that was you. People with those emotions were welcomed. How did you all usher that?
I think it's who you are as an individual, right? I didn't realize this was a ministry until 2019.
Yeah. Mm.
And so
You
we've
saw
been
it
there
as
for a
just a
long
business.
time,
You saw it as
right?
just a business.
Saw it as a business. Before it even became a ministry, I saw it as mom's hobby,
Mm. I remember you said
right?
that.
So
Yes.
let me just kind of break that down a little bit. So I always said that's mom thing,
Hmm.
right? But she always said to us, always tell her kids, take your young days and build yourself. So when you get older, you don't have to work so hard. She always tell
Right.
her kids that, right? So when she started the business in New York, and then I transitioned to Charlotte in 2003, she moved to Florida. So she continued the business in Florida. And then she's like, I'm not feeling it in Florida. I said, well, move to Charlotte.
Hmm.
And that's what she did. So I said, well, she's not the type to sit around because she got to keep moving. That's just who she is.
Right.
And so we started the business here in Charlotte, and that's how the L&D. I said, this time I'm adding my name to it, because when she initially started, it was called Rose Garden of the Grove. So when she moved to Charlotte, I'm like, no, I need to get a piece of this.
I love it,
So
Des.
I
I
was
love
like,
it.
okay, of course, L is for Lynn and D is for Debbie, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, and of course, we're going to do everything in excellence and
Right.
elegance, right?
Right.
So she liked the name. I said, okay, we'll go with that.
Hmm.
And so we had a storefront for 3 years. And once the lease was up, I just said, you know what? As mom get older, because when she first started this business, looking back, she started this business when she was in her late 40s,
Yeah.
right? So now, in May 20th, she'll be 77 years old.
God bless her.
And so it was interesting that after the 3 years at the storefront, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? And it's like the Lord dropped in my spirit. The house that she lives in, why not convert the carport into the business? Because when you have a storefront, you have to be there every day. You can't be
Right.
sick. You can't
Right.
close down. Otherwise, there's no reason for you to stay in business.
And you got to pay rent.
You got to pay rent. You got to
Hmm.
pay employees,
Yes.
so no
Yes.
matter what, you have to stay open. And I know as my mom get older, I said, okay, let me just convert the carport into the business. And I want to make sure it's a legit, because at the time I didn't know how big this business is going to get. Like I said, it's mom hobby, keep her busy, stay out of trouble kind of thing. We're good, right?
Yes.
So I went to the county, make sure, we can, convert the business, a home business, and convert the carport to that. They said, well, they have certain rules, but it wasn't so bad.
Right.
So we are legit. People like, oh, no, we are pretty much up and up.
Yes.
So it worked out so much better having the business here at home. Only downfall is that it keeps her busy, which sometimes I tell her to rest.
Right. Right. Right.
But it does happen when you have a home business. When you work
Hmm.
where you sleep, it's hard sometimes to rest.
Yes.
And so now I'm looking at it's full circle, because she started the business at a home, and we're at a home today.
I love it.
And so God is just amazing. He's
Yes.
so amazing, like full circle.
Hmm.
And so now being in this community, you got the neighbors, they can walk over and get flowers. We are the neighborhood florist. There's some that's around, but we are a home-based florist, where our hours are not just a 9 to 5.
Right.
Because people we think we open 24 hours. They'll call us like, Grandma, I'm in trouble. I'm in the doghouse. I need a dozen roses. It's the type of relationship going on. And sometimes I said, Mom, you cannot have people coming by at 9 o'clock at night asking for roses because they can't go home. Come on, baby, you could come over. And so she'll make
I love it. I love it. I
it's
love it.
that type of relationship. And I realize that it's more than just flowers because it's the interaction.
Yes.
It is people coming in, and regardless of the race. And that's the interesting part. It's not just all blacks.
Yes.
And they feel comfortable enough to come in, and they'll say, well, my wife passed away 3 years ago. This is my first date,
Wow.
and I'm going to my first date. I said, don't worry, I'm going to hook you up.
So
You know?
it sounds so, Debbie, and one of the things I'm intentional about talking about, especially during this month, with May being Mental Health Awareness Month, is safe spaces, right?
Yes.
For us, no matter what race you are, no matter what your age is, for us to be able to enter safe spaces and be able to just feel like we can unpack some of the things that are on us.
Yes.
And that's what it sounds like this space is. Talk about that. Like, I mean, how do like, I would love it, because again, I'm thinking about the calming. I love the smell of different flowers, and the calming, and a scent to me brings a sense of calmness to me.
Yes.
So you not only create the calmness with your product, your flowers, but also with the environment. Share that with us, please.
And that's one of the key things that I asked God. I said, when people walk through these doors, I want them to feel peace. I want them to feel comfortable. And last month, my mom said, because we also offer DoorDash services.
Okay.
So they call him a dasher. So he came in and he said, I feel the peace of God here.
Wow.
And he sat down. So I said, Mom, how long did he stay?
Wow.
I said, because the reason why when you're a dasher, you're on the clock.
Right. At all times.
I don't want the customer to think that he's here for 15, 20 minutes waiting for the order.
Right.
When he's just chilling. So that was a big compliment, and we have heard that over the years when people walk in. And like I said, it doesn't matter the background. I've had white guys come in and they'll sit down and they'll be like, wow, I just want to hang out here.
Yeah.
And they'll just start talking.
I love it.
And so it is, I'm happy to know that people can come here and feel comfortable. I don't discriminate. Regardless, whatever you are, I'm going to give you the come on in, because like I said, going back to the mental piece of it, is a kind word makes a big difference.
Amen.
A smile makes a difference. Amen. Encouraging words make a difference.
Yes.
And so what I realized, we all have mental illness. Yes. It's just different stages of it.
Yes.
And so, looking back in 2019, when Mom was diagnosed with stomach cancer. And so it was a shocker. It was like, wow, okay, what do you do? I am grateful for the prayer warriors that I have. I can't survive without my prayer warriors. I mean, oh my God. And when they told you, they said, well, because I was at work late. It was 6:00. Never forget, it was the first Friday of January. And she said, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to call the ambulance to take me to the hospital.
Oh, wow.
I said, okay, Mom, I'll meet you over there. So when I got there, they said, well, we got to give her like 2 pints of blood because she's losing blood. I'm like, oh my God. So, Jerome, all I did, got my prayer warriors on speed dial. I said, start praying, because I don't know what's going on. And so start praying. And then they, eventually admitted her. And that is when you don't know what direction to go. You don't know what's going to happen, like the unknown. That's a part of mental, because you're just the unknown. And what's going to happen? Because I've always had my mom around. I
Right.
always tell her, I said, as much as I said, well, I'm no longer here, so you're gonna be until 150 years old. You can go nowhere. So stop the mom when I'm no longer. No, we're not talking that way, mom.
Right.
She over the years, that's why she said, well, I can't wait for you guys to leave the house. And as soon as we leave, she start crying. You know how it is with mom, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so when we, they finally diagnosed her with stomach cancer and everything like that, and we said, okay, mom, we're gonna go through this. And it was at that point that she went through chemo and she was still doing the flowers. She was still taking orders. Even the doctors were saying, wow, that's good that you still continue to do your daily activities. And Jerome, that is the time that I saw how God just used her, even she was going through chemo,
Hmm. Still
the
fighting.
strength. And she always says, this is your legacy, is what she used to tell me. She said, this is your legacy. And it took 2019, it took that for me to take ownership of the business, as well as to say, yes, God, okay. Because I know she couldn't, continue. And we have, of course, Valentine's holiday. We had Mother's Day holiday coming up. And
Hmm.
she really can't do all of that.
Right.
But God has also blessed me with some great friends that stepped up. My niece, she moved from Florida to help my mom, and
Okay.
she helped with the business. So running a business, running the appointments, because when you have cancer, if anyone have experienced, there's several appointments,
Right.
several doctors, and it's just a lot. So I had a lot of good friends that stepped up and said, well, Debbie, I'll take mom to her appointment. You go food shopping. My niece, can you just stay at the store? Let's take calls, take orders.
Right.
So all of that was going on.
Right.
And it's when she went through the surgery in August and they had to go back in a second time. That's when I broke down
Mm.
because they did the surgery 2 weekends back to back.
Okay.
And that's what I said, it's a different types of mental illness. How do you deal with it?
How do we deal with it? Yeah. And
And
you
so,
created that space for people.
right, exactly. But how do you create one for yourself?
Mm. Yes. I love that.
Right? Because
Yes.
you can take care of everybody.
Right. But who's
But
taking
how
care
do
of
you
you?
take care of yourself? What do
Yeah.
you need to do?
Right.
And so, when I look back, even today, I'm blessed with God had placed certain people. And I'm very particular who I have in my circle, who I
Amen.
talk to,
Amen.
who prays for me. You can't have everybody praying for you.
Nope. Nope.
So I'm very particular. And so mentally, when I know I'm like, oh my God, this is overwhelming, this is a whole lot, when I saw she was about to go through the second time, and I said, and it's like the Holy Spirit said to me, he said, you think you know who I am,
Mm.
but I'm going to show you who I am.
Amen. Amen.
So
I
when
love
she came out the second surgery, Jerome, oh my God, and she was praising God. And then eventually she said, can you put on some Bob Marley music? So the doctors and nurses, they all be like, okay, let's put on her Bob Marley music because that's
Yeah.
what she loves and all that kind of stuff. And it
I
was
love it.
just,
I love
I appreciate that God has showed me first who he is, because you can have a relationship with God, but then he show you things in your life, things is
it all the
happening.
time.
Like, no matter what, I got you.
Yes.
Mental illness is that no matter what, I got you. And always reflect back on where I take you from.
Amen.
That is what keep the sanity of being a mental illness. No matter what I'm going through.
Hmm.
Remember, he'll say, remember when you thought you was going to hit the ground on this?
Ooh.
You almost hit it, but I didn't let you because you had to go
Ooh.
through the process.
Yes. Yes. We want to
You
rush the
had to go
process.
through.
We want to get to that healing place really quick, and we want to skip some steps. But there's some steps we have to go through
Right.
in order to get to that healing place. And there's some trials. Like I always say, um, there can be no testimony without the test. It's
Yep.
that simple.
Amen.
So I have to be tested in order for me to have that testimony. So thank you
Yeah.
for that, Deb.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Share with me about L&D. What changes have you noticed now in the industry of being a florist, being more hands-on now than you were, and in
Mhm,
the interest of an all disclosure, Debbie and
mhm,
I have been colleagues since 1999. We worked with
mhm.
each other, so we
Yep.
go way, way back. Um,
Yep.
so, in the interest, what changes have you noticed from when Mom started in Brooklyn to
Mhm.
now in the industry that maybe someone who is considering being a florist should be mindful of?
Well, it started from the pandemic.
Okay.
That was the eye opener.
Hmm.
No, when Mom started to advertise a business or market a business, she didn't know about marketing. I didn't know anything about marketing. I mean, that was her full-time thing in Brooklyn.
Hmm.
But now we got social media.
Right.
Back then, when you want to market a business, you print out a flyer and have somebody deliver it to the homes.
Yes. Or put it on the cars. Yes.
Yeah, exactly,
Yes.
right, exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Um, you didn't know about creating a business plan.
Mhm.
Back then, you just said, okay, I want to start a business, but you just kind of go to day to day and figure it out as you go.
Mhm.
Now you got to know how to price your products.
Yes.
Now you got to know who are your marketing audiences, you know, and the type of products they're buying and what services
Yes.
that you have to offer. So it entails a lot more than just, oh, I'm talking to my plants and just putting a few, flower in a vase and call it a day.
Right. Right.
It entails patience.
Mhm.
You got to listen to your customer now more than ever
Right.
because they will, back then, if they didn't like something, you didn't know about it. Today, they'll go on social media and they'll put add a review like,
Out
oh,
of
I don't
review.
like her
Yeah.
flowers.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so you got to change your mindset. And then with the pandemic, that was an opportunity for all businesses to like a restart, like a refresh. So if I was doing something for the last 20 years the same way, the pandemic gave us the opportunity like now I need to change the way I think, the way I do business. So for us during that time, and it also helped me realize that if any emergency comes up, you got to know how to handle it.
Right. Yeah.
The pandemic was an
The pandemic
emergency.
taught. Yeah. So how did L&D shift? How did you navigate the pandemic?
So with that, the greatest thing is that we had a home business,
Yes.
right? So the only thing, of course, we still had customers calling.
Mhm.
We still had people, drive up and say, okay, because, I don't know why these men are always in the doghouse, but there are. The pandemic doesn't change things. It just happened, right? So they still need help.
Right.
Of course, people are passing away.
Right.
So funerals definitely was another thing that you still need to continue doing what you need to do. But one of the things that had to change was we was a lot of shortage of flowers. So all our distributors pretty much was running out of flowers. So I had to go online and look for a farm that's in Ecuador
Hmm.
and only that too, I needed to do something that's different because every year our customers they're used to different designs. We don't just put regular red roses together and oh, you have a dozen like you go to a supermarket. We had glitters on our roses.
Hmm.
We had diamonds to our roses and all our rhinestones. So they're still expecting that. So what could I do during the pandemic and we have a shortage of flowers? So I went online and I found two distributors from the farm. So which means I cut out the middleman
Right.
and they're able to deliver me the roses and the flowers directly to the house.
Wow. Good. Good to
So
hear.
that kind of helped me like, okay, you have to change the way you do business.
Yes.
So that first, after the pandemic went shut down, I think March of 2020. So I had Mother's Day right after that.
Yes.
So right after that, so a lot of time other people was running around going crazy. I was fine. Just like when God told Noah to build the ark and
You
he was
had built
doing
your
all the
art.
things.
Yes.
I was looking, there was a short of vases. I started going to Goodwill, buy, get all my supplies because I wanted to continue whatever our customers are used to,
Right.
make sure it doesn't change. And also that we'll still be in business after the pandemic.
Right.
Because a lot of people, had to shut down. So the pandemic kind of gave me an opportunity. Marketing need to step up
Okay.
because now everyone is home. So your online presence has to change.
Right.
And I found a marvelous, amazing marketing team because, as much as I'm here, I'm not a social media online everyday type of person.
Right.
And so I found this team that handle all my social media, but also I learned to delegate
Mm.
because and that ties into mental illness.
Yes.
When you're trying to do 50 million tasks, there's only how many hours in a day?
Yes.
and so we want like 48 in a day or, as
Right.
much.
Right.
So that also I realized if I can delegate or get people to help me, because I still work a full-time job,
Right. You're taking things off your plate.
taking things off your plate. So that helped. Like I said, there's different form of mental illness.
Yes. And just to the marketing piece, let me just say that L&D Flowers of Elegance is part of the Buy Black for Life app under Florist. If you have the app and you go to the search feature, you can either put Florist or you could put L&D. You could put anything that is associated with the name L&D Flowers. You could put any of that, and you will be able to locate L&D um, Flowers of Elegance. Also, if you are in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I love my city, my former city, Charlotte, North Carolina. If you're in Charlotte, they are in Charlotte, North Carolina. Um, please support. Um, support is support is more than just going in and buying. Support is sharing. Support is
Mhm.
amplifying. Support is tagging someone who may need what it is that L&D Flowers of Elegance has. So be intentional about, and that's what we are about in Buy Black for Life, that we want to amplify businesses like L&D. So thank you for that, Debbie. Now, Debbie, I have another question, if I may,
Mhm.
because we have so many people who are entrepreneurs that are
Mhm.
looking to start their businesses. I had a young lady who emailed me last week. She said, I just graduated from college. I want to start my own business. Can you help me? Right. So,
Mhm.
I'm very intentional about the work nobody sees, right? Because
Mhm.
I think the
Mhm.
work that nobody sees sets you up because you even said no, this is legit. Like you knew that
Mhm.
this, in order for this to be what it is today, it had to be
Mhm.
legit. So, if you can share with us a few things, have as many things as you desire, if
Mhm.
someone were looking to start a floral shop, what advice
Mhm.
would you give to them that you wish you and mom knew 30 years ago?
So with what I see it as, because I think she did a great job in starting small. She did not went out and put herself in a lot of debt
So she didn't
and
have high overhead.
high overhead. She didn't, open a storefront, so to speak, and
Right,
have all of this to pay.
right.
And so she started out small, and not even just only the flower business, any business. When you start a business, you got to know, can I see myself doing this for the rest of my life?
Yes.
For me, it got personal where it became a ministry because it was tagged on to that. That's the calling of the florist.
Right.
For other florists, it may not. Maybe it's all about we love money. We would love making money, because we like nice things,
Right.
right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, how does it impact someone else? Are you making a difference?
Yes.
So with my mom, with the flower business, when she first started, and I asked her, I said, talking to your plants is not the same thing, but she had the desire. My mom never went to school or training for florists.
Mm.
So she would sit there and she just get these designs, and eventually over the years, the same thing started happening to me. I was like, wow, it'd be nice to add rhinestone in the middle of roses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we did that for Valentine. That's one of our top sellers. I'd be like, wow. And then going to to reach out to the farm in Ecuador and got rainbow roses. I mean, that was one of our top sellers that even people are still asking for it. Because they never did that. How do you get multicolors in one rose?
Right, right, right.
So you got to have this passion for whatever you do. Are you willing to wake up 4:00 in the morning and
The
work on the
commitment.
business?
The commitment, yes. Are you
It's
ready
a
for this
commitment.
grind? It's the
So
grind,
if
yes.
you are only in it to make money, I'm sorry, that's it may not last too long. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
But when you know that when you make an arrangement and it's delivered to someone who is dealing with illness, or it's a birthday, or I'm thinking about you, what's the impact to the customer? So what is the florist business or any type of business? Why am I doing this?
The why. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you.
The why.
The
And what's
why.
the purpose?
Yes. And the
What's the
why.
purpose of this?
The why. So, and I think, and just again, for full disclosure, Debbie and I are financial professionals.
Mm-hmm.
We have sat with people who are on this side of the financial picture and on the lower side. We've done this. This is what we've done in our careers, right? Notice Debbie never talked about the financial piece of it. Does the family does it help with generational wealth? Absolutely. But Debbie's not talked about that. That's not what it is. So when you find your why is going to feed those other things. And that's basically what you're sharing.
Amen.
Debbie, I did a live a few weeks ago where I'm telling business owners, new business owners, and I'm having these type of conversations because as I'm building the app and I'm putting businesses, I'm seeing what they're doing and what they're not doing. Right? How they are advertising as if they just don't care, right?
Yes.
If you don't care about anything with respect to your business, guess what? It's going to show.
Yes.
If I am intentional about the Black and brown community and uplifting us. It comes through in everything I say, think, and do that is by Black for Life. And Debbie, you are passionate not just about the flowers, but also the healing power in the space that you create. It comes through in your flowers and in your conversation with me. So I want people to take notice, hear this. It's not just and that young lady that I told you about, in my asking her why, she said to me, I want to provide for my daughter. That's a no-brainer. Right? We all want to be able to provide for our families. That's the no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
But what is the why that led you here? And your why, you just summed it up. I'm gonna somehow record this and just drop it somewhere because thank you. That's amazing, and I love that, Debbie.
And I'm glad you said about why the whys that we're doing it, because yesterday, prime example, because we're also in prom season.
Yes.
And this lady came in and she said, your mom did a corsage for my daughter when she was in junior. She went to junior and the senior prom 10 years ago. Jerome, she had pictures of the corsage and the boutonniere. And she's like, now my son is going to his prom, and I'm coming right back to have you guys do the corsage and the boutonniere. And she had her sister with me. She said, I've been telling people about you guys. She said, I went somewhere and they did this corsage, this little tiny little thing. I was like, what's that? And someone told her about us. And it was just amazing. 10 years.
That's amazing.
And to have custom, that's what, and you said something that you hit on the head. You do what you're called to do,
Yeah.
everything else will follow.
Everything else will follow.
And I'm not bragging, but I see, because God sees your heart and he sees the passion for people. And if you're willing to help, it's not about, oh, I'm going to get mine. It wasn't about that.
Right.
And so people are, about, I think it was last month, they advertised the business on the radio. I didn't do that.
You didn't even know. Yeah.
I don't know. And they want to tell me who, advertised for. That's free.
Yes. Yes.
Because the moment you give back to your community, right now, we are tied to Crisis System Ministry, Men's Shelter, and the Relative. We give, we donate to those organizations. So your business has to give back.
Yes.
It has to give back.
Because what you put out into the universe comes back to you.
Exactly.
When you're putting blessings out to others, guess
it's
what?
Blessings
are going to come back to you.
It's going to come back. And
always
it's amazing.
for me. It's always for me. Like I, so many people, when I talk to them about this, okay, how much do I, no, no, we're not having that conversation. No. Mm-mm.
And everything doesn't have to be, honest with you, everything don't have to be a cost. And just to go back, because we talk also about Mother's Day.
Yes.
When we was at the shop in Brooklyn, because they had mom, a lot of kids come through and all that stuff. And I remember distinctively, this kid came and he had to be about 9 or 10 years old. He came in the store with a jar with all pennies. And he said, I want to get my mother something for Mother's Day. And he poured all the pennies on the countertop. And my mom said, go to the cooler and pick any arrangement. Now, New York, our arrangement is like, $90, $100 something dollars.
Yes, yes.
She said, pick any arrangement you want. And while he was doing that, I was taking all his penny, put it back in the jar.
Wow.
And I said, okay, you want to write up a message card? He said, yes. And he wrote on it, I love you, Mom. And he walked out. So everything is not always a cost. Right. During the pandemic, a lady called from Maryland, because we have customer call from us, different states as well as outside the country.
And you do ship throughout?
Yes. Well, we don't ship. They call us, and then we deliver here in Charlotte or Concord, the surrounding areas.
Okay.
And during the pandemic, you could not go to nursing homes. They would not allow you in.
Correct.
And she said, I need to send my mom some flowers. She said, would you be able, she's on the lower level. Can you deliver the flowers for her and just put it on a like a little stool, and so she can enjoy it for Mother's Day? And I'm the one that took the order. Wow. I said, don't worry. I'm going to take care of you. And so I delivered myself. I don't normally do in the business time. But sometimes as an owner, you have to do things that, you can't get other people to do.
Right.
And so I added a balloon. I didn't charge for the balloon, but I added a Happy Mother's Day balloon. And I took the stool and I put it outside the mother's window. And she might have called her mom, because I told her, I'm on my way there. And the mother was just sitting there. And she had this big smile on her face. And she enjoyed, it's like having the flowers. She couldn't come outside. But the mere fact that she got flowers, you see the balloon, that she can still enjoy Mother's Day. It's about leaving an impression that no matter how long, how many years, they will never forget you. And that's what business is about.
Because it's not what you say that I remember. It's how you made me feel.
It's how you make me feel.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's what, if you're looking to go into the flowers business, It is a lot of skills, a lot of patience, listening to customers, not just about, what he's sharing, but they have to feel comfortable with you.
Yeah.
You got to have that type of personality. If you're the type that you don't have the patience, this is not the business for you.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, any customer oriented business would not be good
Not
for you
big
at
for
all.
you.
Because I'm not saying that we don't go through ups and downs,
Right.
but it's minimum. And so even if someone, because sometimes people going through things,
Yes.
so they
Yes.
may call with an attitude or, something's not right. How can I fix that problem? I can replace the arrangement for you. Okay. And as people of color,
Yes.
we got to do extra. We got to stand up. We got to do more because people are looking at us that, oh, they just giving you bare minimum. No,
No.
that's not how we roll.
That's not how we survived 30 years.
That's exactly. We have to step up that when they look. So that's what I said. We have different background of people. I mean, you got somebody coming from the island. I had one guy from Brazil came in to meet this young lady he met online.
Wow. Wow.
And he was like, I need some flowers to impress her because it's my first date. Don't worry. You got people looking to propose.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So, with a flower business is that there's so many facts. You got birthdays, you got funerals. How do you interact with your customer when they lost a loved one? And during the pandemic, there was a lot of killings. Young men, young Black men were getting killed.
Mm.
So now you have the mother coming in and you have to deal with that. So any business florist or anything that you go, is it your calling? Is it why are you going into this business?
Yes.
Will you last, or you want to make the sacrifice?
Yes.
I like to go out and eat. I had to stop a lot of that, right? Because I was like, let me go and shop. You got to look at overall because you got to think about the emergency, like the pandemic.
Yes.
When things was really slow, what would happen? Because you still got to pay the overhead.
Yeah.
So first, have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes God is dropping things in your spirit. You jot it down. You have a notebook. Write the plan so it's plain. And then when you are assigned or people are assigned to help you with the vision, you have things written out.
I love it, Debbie. I just have one last question for you,
Mhm.
Debbie. And thank you once again for joining
Thank
me.
you.
We saw one another at a mutual, and she's not a friend, she's a sister to us.
Mm-hmm.
We saw her celebrating her 60th birthday. Debbie, I haven't seen you since I left Charlotte 10 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, and
Yep.
still the love is there, and I really appreciate seeing you giving love. You know how I feel about you.
Mm-hmm.
So I thank you for joining me. Um, but Debbie, one of the things I always ask people who join me because um, we have to always be reminded.
Yes.
What does buying black mean to you, Debbie?
Well, at first it didn't really register with me until the George Floyd situation.
Mhm.
And so when I had customer calls in and says, "Are you a black owner? Are you?" I was like, "Yes." And when I tell you, not just Charlotte, that people walk in, "Are you a black-owned business?"
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
People from other states. People are really saying, "No, we need to start supporting our communities." And so, knowing that you're giving back, that's what the giving back goes to. Like one of the things we would like to do is train some young women how
yes,
to do flowers.
yes.
There's some people in my community. I could see that there's some struggles. And so one thing my mom wanted to do is train how to do flowers.
Mm.
I want to go to the women's shelter and say, even though you're there, we're gonna go in and give a class. The Relative, that's for I don't know if you know the Relative, is an organization for for foster kids that age out of the system. So now they're an adult. What do they do?
Right.
So giving back to the community, especially our communities, that you have every opportunity. When you see a young man, sometimes I meet them in Walmart. I mean, it's the weirdest thing.
I always
But
pull them up.
but they approach me, and then you get in these conversations.
Yes,
When
yes.
there's opportunity, you let these young people, because I think that's where we really need to focus on is our young people,
Young people. Yes.
right? And so they may be going a path because they're not in the circle of people to encourage them, or they may not have people where they see, well, I'm not out on the corner selling stuff or selling myself for money.
Right.
But hey, if you do this and this, because they're smart,
Yes.
and so the reason is that giving back by Black is keeping in our community,
Yeah.
helping each other, share information.
Mhm.
When we started with the flower business, mom went and asked several people, oh no, we don't know. They never want to give her any information how to start the business. Today we get people, oh, you can call this distributor, or you can go here. And
I love it.
we need to share and elevate each other so we
Yeah.
all can be on the same level. No one has to be down unless that's your decision to be
There's
down.
enough for us all to eat.
That's correct.
And it's
That's
and
correct.
for me, the space that I created, and you said this with sharing the information of
Mm-hmm.
distributors, for example, it's collaboration over competition.
Yes.
Because if I succeed and I could help somebody in the lane that I am succeed, guess
Yes.
what? I'm putting my blessings to work. And
Yes.
you know, I know the universe, the man upstairs is going to reward me. So I love that. I love it,
Mm-hmm.
Debbie. So thank you for that. Any last minute things, tips that you would like to share with our audience, Debbie?
Well, first, I want to thank you, because we know each other forever.
Yeah,
And I'm excited when I see how God moves in people's lives, especially when you know them for a long period of time. I know where you're at and where you're going. There's so much more because, like I was sharing with you, this is a place of focus. We get excited when something happened, and all of a sudden it phases out.
yeah.
But you've been by Black for Life for a while. I mean, wow.
Keep pushing.
And so it's a focus point that this is how we're going to support our community. So thank you for this opportunity to talk about, our florist biz. My mom, oh my God, what can I say about her? She's a superstar on Facebook. So you'll see her doing videos. You don't see me that much. You see her, right? So she's
Well,
a superstar.
you make sure you share this. I'll send you the link. You share this with her,
Yes.
because
But
it's so important.
yeah, but thank you so much for this opportunity. And if you're out there, and don't give up. Don't let no one deter you from what you're called to do. What's for you is for you. You
Man,
stay in the lane that you're called to. And also, if God tell you to move, you move. You don't question it, you don't second guess, because that's your time. That's the window open for you to walk through those open doors.
amen.
So thank you again, Jerome. And this has been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. So, once again, everyone, L&D Flowers of Elegance in Charlotte, North Carolina, my former city. The address I is in the chat. Please come out and support. It's not just a florist; it is a place of healing. They're gonna welcome you in, and
Mhm.
we need more spaces like that. Not only for us grown folks who are still working on healing, but also for our young people,
Mhm.
because when they could see what it is that a company like L&D is doing to have a space like that, guess what? They become that as well. So, my Buy Black for Life family, I love you all for joining us. Debbie, I thank you for being a part of this.
Thank
And
you.
I just would like to say once again to my Buy Black for Life community, let's continue to, for the love of our people, to buy Black for Life. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.